I was just 16 when I appeared on X Factor and suddenly became known to so many people. And though I didn't realize it then, within 4 years, I would be an alcoholic. Thankfully, I'm in active recovery. But the number of alcohol-related deaths among women in Northern Ireland is at an all-time high, and increasing faster here than anywhere else in the UK. With medical experts expressing alarm at the increasing consumption of alcohol by young women, alcohol abuse is costing the public here a staggering £900 million every year.
Hey guys, so I'm working on a really exciting project.
My fans have been incredible through my continued journey out of addiction.
If you are in active addiction, recovery, concerned about your drinking, or just rethinking your relationship with alcohol, then please hit me up.
But why are so many young women succumbing to alcohol abuse? What are their stories? And what can they do to fight their addictions? I want to reach out and discover what's happening with young women and alcohol.
You make me scared. What's your name?
Jenna. My name's Devlin. I'm 16 and I'm from Tyrone in Northern Ireland.
How are you feeling about this?
Nervous.
There you are.
This is the full X Factor edition I did back in 2011. It's actually been so long since I watched this that I forgot just how much of a baby I was when I did it. Like, I didn't realise, 16 was, that young to do a show like that.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside.
Your song, the song I still sing to this day, honest to God. There's not a gig goes by where people don't ask for that. You can literally see how petrified I am the whole way through this. Oh, my wee mummy. Oh. For me, the X Factor was in equal parts the best decision of my life and the hardest part of my life. I was a child, I was 16, and it was terrifying. There's no way to prepare yourself for your life changing overnight. There's no way to prepare yourself for getting online abuse from adults. It was hard. You know, if I was to open up in those days and say, oh, I'm really struggling, I actually really need help, or just admitting at the time that I really was struggling to, even be alive, the dialogue around mental health wasn't there. So I just never said it, kept it private, kept it buried deep down. At the time of leaving the show and doing all of the gigs and touring and traveling, I had good money at the time. I drank it all. So I started as someone who drank to overcome social anxiety, to feel comfortable in my own skin. You're the life of the party kind of thing when you've had a drink. But eventually it stops being fun. I drank myself out of fun into dependence and ruined it for myself, essentially. I just made my life a living hell, and I made the life of everyone around me who was trying to work for me or work with me a living hell and a living misery as well. I remember my mum cry screaming at me once, just being like, how does it feel to be 19 and be an alcoholic? And she was at her breaking point. She was just waiting on the phone call to say that I'd passed away. That now, as a sober person, is absolutely just a disgusting and sad and terrifying thought, and I can't imagine being a mother trying to navigate that world. So that was the reality. She was just waiting for that phone call.
Although my story feels unique to me, I know that an increasing number of women have had similar experiences. I've come to Bangor to meet 25-year-old Zoe, who was an addict by the time she was 18.
Hiya.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Do you want to come
Oh, thank you. Where did your addiction story start?
So I was quite young, about 13, 14. I started dabbling. I came from a really strict school in England. My mum moved me over here for a better way of life.
Yeah.
It just didn't go to plan.
No.
So it didn't. She always tried to do right by me. She did. But she was very strict and very by the book, and I think that's why I rebelled as much as I did.
Do you think the move had any impact on your drinking and using?
Definitely. Like, I definitely tried to make myself likeable, you know, to fit in, and because I was the new girl, new girl in school, new girl in a different country, you know. I was stripped away from everything and everyone that I ever knew. It just got worse the older I got. I completely flunked school. That was when I then started on the legals. So I was smoking legal highs, I was taking like microdots, legalies, going to raves, and I was trying to forget the dark thoughts and the demons in my head and mask them with something that made me feel good. And then that was when I went really downhill between 16, 17. I was going between like sleeping rough, friends' sofas, stranger sofas, and yeah, I'd done a bit of time on the streets. I've had people walk past and spit on me, I've had people walk past and kick me, I've had, you know, just for the crack, just because they can, you know. I've done unthinkable things like stealing and all, and burnt so many bridges with people that you feel like you can't come back from. Yeah, things can get quite dark and scary quite quick. I look back now and I'm like, I don't know how I'm still alive, if I'm being honest. We would have drank up on the pier, like up on these wee bits, and then but if we were going to take anything, we would have gone under.
You would have actually
there.
gone under the bridge to use?
Yeah.
Wow.
See, because it's on the doorstep.
Yeah.
It's not the first time I've been down, you know, since.
Yeah.
But it's obviously the first time coming back and reminiscing about the bad times. Yeah. Yeah, they weren't really good, were they? Oh. Well, they were at the time, I think. At the time, you think everything's good and everything's great, and it's not until you come out of it and you get the help and you realise, no, actually, that was way worse than you could even explain to anyone, you know. Now I do have mental health problems. I have BPD, borderline personality disorder.
Because I'm the same, I have the BPD.
Yeah. I'm on antipsychotics now, which sounds scary, yeah.
No, I know the feeling because I'm currently on antipsychotics myself, so yeah.
So, you know...
But whenever you're first told, like, you have to go on antipsychotics, you're like...
Antipsychotic,
am
right,
I okay?
Yeah. And yeah, it was daunting, it was scary, but see, since being on them, I do feel like a different person. I see things differently, I'm not as irrational, I'm not as impulsive.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
When you've got mental health problems as well, which most people with addiction issues have.
Kind of do, yeah.
You're battling not only the addiction, but you're battling your mental health at the same time.
At the same time.
And it is just like...
You don't know what one to listen to.
Yeah.
But I've worked hard
You have, and it shows.
to get to where I am today, and I'm glad it does show, because, you know, for the first time in a good chunk of my life, I'm able to say I'm proud of myself. You know, I've been through shit in the past, but I've came out of it the other end. You know, I have, and I've done it.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
crying, like, just even
don't,
like...
you'll set me off.
Zoe's story has really struck a chord with me. She's still such a young woman, but has already gone through some really tough times. Above all, I'm impressed by her resilience and ability to ask for help at such a young age, and the way she has faced up to issues around her mental health. Something that, like me, she had to do in order to confront her addiction.
I got a message from a girl called Tamsin, who has said, I don't know if you'll see this message, but I seen your post about addiction, about telling people their stories. My mammy also struggled with addiction, mainly alcoholism. I live in Derry and I would love to tell you my story sometime. Oh, she said, my mammy actually passed away this year on the 16th of January due to addiction. That's really sad. Hey, Tamsin. Thanks so much for reaching out. Love to talk. So sorry to hear about your mum.
Since her mum died, 18-year-old Tamsin has been helping her dad to raise her two younger sisters, but I'm so glad she's reached out to me.
I actually messaged Janet. I messaged her. Just said I'm looking forward to meeting her. And I didn't think she would get back to me, but she did. I remember when she came on the X Factor and she sung Your Song by Elton John, and oh my god, I fell in love with it, you know. Her voice singing that song, it just matched so well. And my mummy actually took me to the X Factor tour. My mummy always felt wild bad because she had a wee fall because she drank a wee bit too much. But that's the one that ate my mummy up too for doing that to me. But I remember seeing Janet on the X Factor. The box even smells like her. I swear I can smell her. Her perfume. My mummy only ever wanted 3 babies, so Lola May was our last wee child to be born. Lola May's our wee baby. My daddy's all smiley. They have 3 girls. We were just all so happy. Our family jigsaw was completed. We were whole. We had everything in. We had, the main thing we had was each other. She tried countless times to get help. Like my mummy went to rehab centres. She went to a while lot of counselling as well. And I remember she saying it to me too loads and loads of times that I don't want to be this way and I just want to be sober. I just don't want this kind of life. A life that's so similar to hell. I don't want it. The last post she ever replied to on the 6th of January was actually my post. I wrote on her wall, "Love you, Mommy." And then she wrote wee hearts under it, 4 wee hearts and a wee X. I kept writing on her wall just in case she grabbed her phone and was like looking for her Facebook, and I put up another wee post. "Me and the 2 girls love you more than you will ever know. Our rock." And a wee picture of me and my sisters and my mommy. And another one, this is the 13th of January now. "Your girls love you more than you know." Just hoping she would see it and something would change. Just something wouldn't happen. The day my mummy died, I got a phone call. It was from my 2 cousins. They were screaming on the phone, crying. They were all, "Thank your mommy's dead." So I jumped out of the car and ran down, and I was all, where's my mommy? I went down the living room, and there my mommy was just sitting lifeless on the sofa. I just rushed over there and hugged her and kissed her, and I just couldn't believe it, like all my family sitting around her, and I don't want to have that life now. When I have wains of my own, I don't want my wains to see what I had to see, because I shouldn't have seen it.
Hiya.
Hi.
So nice to finally meet you.
You too?
How you doing?
Good.
Hi, all good? Good. So when it comes to addiction, how do you feel towards it? Are you angry at it? Are you upset at it? Like, what's your main feeling when you think about what addiction's done to your life?
I'm all kind of mixed emotions. Some days I'll be angry, some days I'll be so upset. But the main one is kind of anger because it took my mommy. You feel a wee bit out of sync with the world. Like, you don't know, like, with my mommy gone now, like, it feels like you don't know, like, your kind of purpose. Because she's not here, and I don't feel myself at all.
Yeah. And what responsibilities have you been left now since your mummy's passed away?
My two wee sisters are my main responsibility, like, they're 11 and 8.
Wow. Young girls then?
I'm really young. Didn't deserve what happened to them.
Yeah. So what kind of alcoholic was your mum?
When I say about 7 or 8, a weekend drinker, like drinking a Saturday, maybe the odd wee day in the weekdays if she wasn't doing anything or had nothing to do. But then it just progressed a bit more. When she drank, it was hardcore. Like, she would drink vodka, like litre bottles, 10 glasses of, and she would drink raw vodka to get that quicker hit.
Yeah.
She would barely mix it.
Do you ever just want to just have your childhood years back?
It's annoying, like, I had to grow up too quickly. And even my mummy said that to me before when she was here, like, she knows herself that I had to grow up too quickly. I shouldn't have, like. I had to see stuff that no one should see.
Yeah. How did it feel for you to watch the damage your mum was doing, not only to your family, but also, like, physically to herself?
You just feel helpless. You have to sit in the sidelines, you know, but you try with your love. Sometimes your love just, it can't make it happen. It can't make her be the person you wanted to be. But I still showed my love anyway. I was angry with her at times, of course. I was sad. As I said again, all mixed emotions when my mommy was drinking. But the main thing I had to show her was love still.
It's difficult to hear it from the other perspective and just how quickly you've had to grow up. In comparison to me just constantly trying to be a child and just drink myself silly, like, it's really tough. And I just really feel for you, and, like, I don't even know how that responsibility must feel for you. I'm just absolutely blown away with how strong she is through all of that, through the years of exposure to alcoholism from such a young age, like, how she can be so, not just eloquently spoken with her feelings towards it, but how she's, you know, still managing to keep it together. Like, I can't even imagine what she's actually been through, because I've only ever been on the other side of it, you know?
Hearing stories about other people's alcoholism or how alcoholism has affected them in their life is actually one of the best things for an alcoholic to be exposed to, because it reminds you that you are literally just an arm's length away from causing that chaos in your own life again. So in the spirit of honestly and candidly talking about experiences with alcoholism, I think it's only right that I sit down and talk to my own mother about how I impacted her life, because it's very easy for me to sit here and talk about how it affected mine. Whereas realistically, like, alcoholism is a family illness, and it really, really did impact those closest to me, and my mum being probably the biggest person I hurt. This is the Gorchin Glen, and we are around a mile away from Gorchin, which is where I grew up. Chill out. Oh, I missed you. Every alcoholic is capable of lying. It's just like part and parcel of the disease.
She was a professional liar in relation to where drink was concerned. Would not admit to having a problem at all. And I was left in a very sticky situation because the manager would contact me, but there's very little I could do unless I was over there. And even then, sure, I mean, she still hoodwinked me.
There were so many of those phone calls from my manager to my mum, and like obviously a lot of them like I wasn't privy to, like I didn't know were going on at all. So everyone seemed to know I had a problem but me at the time.
The way she was going on, I think you'd have thought that she had missed a couple of years and was making up as a teenager drinking. But then the phone calls became more, and the stories became more, and the list of drinking became more, and not turning up for sessions. And he'd bring me. I had a full-time job. There was many a day I had to leave work, arrange a flight, and head straight to England. I was angry, I was cross, I was how to get to this point in your life. And I suppose you just think, oh, there's a quick fix for it, but there's no quick fix for it. Whenever she hadn't been in touch for about 3 days, to me, she was at the house not answering the door. She could have been lying in her vomit. You know, that type of way. You know, she could have died. The fear always was there of death eventually, you know, if she didn't seek help or get help. I suppose in a way I dealt with it the best I could. I think every mother wants the best for their child. I do still carry trauma and worry for Janet. There's just times that you wonder, is she okay? Or will she revert back? You know, you just don't know. But and I have my confidence in her, but there's always a piece in the back of your head thinking, is this trigger? Was something triggered again? But fair play to her, she hasn't done that.
All I have is my story and my experience and how it actually was for me. There are so many ways I can film this intro, but the quickest one is just to say it. And hi, I'm Janet, and I'm an alcoholic. So to finally lift the veil and just tell people what my actual truth was the most liberating and freeing feeling ever. I knew I was an alcoholic when I was 20. The reaction was just so positive. There was definitely a wave of people kind of maybe coming to the realization that they also had a problem from watching it. You empathize a lot with these people because you've also been there. I think one of the things I really liked about the comments was people that are getting sober are just like, oh, I'm 1 week sober. And just all the comments are just like, congratulations, that's so good. And I think that kind of stuff warms my heart because I just know, especially in those early days,
how hard it is to get like a week or to get a month. And I just feel like the comments are so positive and so nice that it's like, I don't think they understand by responding to those comments and saying, well done, you've got this, like how much that means to someone in their early days of recovery, you know?
It's hard going back over this time in my life, and the terrible thing is that many others have similar experiences. I am in Belfast to meet 31-year-old Shan. Like me, her recovery started in a rehab programme, so I want to hear what life is like for her after rehab and how she's coping with her sobriety.
What's the most you've been in a day? Twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can't get any more. It's basically I go to the gym too because I'm not a really good sleeper, but I'm still stuck in the routine from rehab, getting up at 6:15 every morning.
Yep.
And then having to do, because I never understood it. And I was like, why is this at this time and why have you to do this and why you're not allowed to do that?
Because addicts have never had
annoyed
routine
at the
in a
start.
long time.
Yeah, and it was all because of the routine, and I'm still getting up at that
Do you
same
like
time.
the routine?
Yeah.
Because I love routine.
So do I.
Yeah, because people feel very trapped by routine, but I feel like addicts feel like
You need routine.
you're like, oh my god, this is
You need it because then obviously addiction, or when I drank, you just went
You
by
had
the
none.
day as long as you had a drink.
Yeah, literally. There's no routine then.
You ready?
Yeah, awesome.
Did you get your water?
Yeah. Which one?
Just-
I'll just
do you
go this
wanna-
one, yeah.
See, I put the incline up, no really high, so I just put it right up to the top. Growing up, I gave my mummy a hard time. I know I did. I just went completely off the rails before I had the kids, and then my last week before I went into rehab, I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
I was like, no, and there's no way out of this. And I made a self-referral myself.
Yeah.
And because of the lockdown, they were like, Sean, we're not taking anybody in at the minute. And I was like, please take me in.
Yeah.
I had them tortured on it, like. See, when I went in there, they were like, can you remember phoning me, like, crying drunk? And I was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
But it's been the best outcome ever, like.
Yeah.
At the end there, I was drinking and I wasn't giving myself time to have a hangover. I was drinking straight as soon as I woke up again. It was really, really bad. I always made sure I looked okay whenever I was drinking. But then when I look back at pictures, I was like, because I started losing my hair and my skin was going a really bad colour. And then when I look back, I do feel really sad at how bad it ended up, because I was actually secretly drinking as well. I was letting on I wasn't drinking. So I was hiding it in the cupboards. And then in rehab, I did have to feel like I grieved over alcohol a wee bit, because I felt like I'd lost a friend.
Yeah.
Because I depended on it so
You
much.
mourn.
Yeah. I couldn't see the kids for 3 months, or my family, because of lockdown. So you got like one 15-minute phone call a week. I looked forward every single week for that one phone call off the kids. I had to build a brand new life as soon as I got out of rehab. Everything was so different. And I was very emotional for weeks at the start where I didn't want to go out. Well, a thing that just hurt me the most was people think when you go into rehab, you come out cured. You
Yeah, I
don't.
know.
It's when the hard work starts, because you have to surround yourself around the alcohol, because it's everywhere. Because I had a funeral a few months back, and it was my first time getting into a bar setting. And I only lasted an hour. I was sweating and stuff. And I was like, Mummy, I have to go. She was like, right, okay.
Yeah.
I just left.
Sometimes you just have to do that though. You just have to remove yourself from a situation. Like,
It's so hard. One of the hardest things I've ever done going in there, but it's the best thing I've ever done.
It's quite shocking to hear someone as strong and physically fit as Shan talk about how alcohol damaged her body. Damage that she could see in her own skin and hair. I want to find out more about the harm young women like her and I are doing to their bodies. So I've come to the Royal Victoria Hospital in Belfast, where one of our leading liver consultants has voiced his concern about the growing number of women here suffering from alcohol-related diseases.
Would you say you've seen a rise in young women coming in to get help?
Yes, certainly over the last number of years, there's definitely a sense that the number of young ladies we're seeing presenting with alcohol-related harm in our hospitals is on the increase. There's no doubt about that, you know. And in the cases that we tend to see on the liver unit here in the Royal, often the patients will be at a very advanced stage of liver disease. Many of them will present with jaundice, issues with fluid retention, complications of liver cirrhosis, such as a condition known as encephalopathy, where they have drowsiness and confusion as a consequence of liver disease. Increasingly, one of the big presentations we're seeing is alcohol-related brain damage, where patients are drinking so excessively that it leads to chronic damage to the brain.
What is the recommended amount of alcohol?
They've recommended for both men and women, the aim should be to drink less than 14 units of alcohol per week, aiming to have 2 to 3 alcohol-free days a week with that. We see cases where ladies have little awareness of what safe levels of alcohol consumption are. I think that the sense for a lot of young people is maybe they feel to a certain extent they're invincible and they can abuse their bodies with alcohol without suffering the consequences, you know, and unfortunately in many cases it has a consequence, both in terms of the physical and mental health of the patient.
It is frightening to hear from a consultant how much physical harm alcohol does to our bodies, never mind to our lives, families, and relationships. I wonder what harm I did to my body, and if I'm still living with that damage. And is it something that could come back to haunt me in the future? Along with my mum, my manager Rick saw my worst days of addiction. I want to find out how my alcoholism impacted him.
Completely oblivious.
Me? Oh, yeah. I'm just like, nah.
That's how I first met you.
I couldn't speak to anyone in those days.
Yeah.
I just, like, talking to another human being was, like, so terrifying.
When I watched your VT, this little girl sat, you know, quite flower fairy, which I know everyone still sees that audition tape and it still does well because they still think you're that 16-year-old pixie. But I got sucked in. I saw it and I thought, wow, this picture, I just pictured this pure being writing poems and writing songs in the middle of nowhere in Ireland. When I look back at the footage of you on tour back then, I think we were so busy with you and it was just so, just going, that when I look back now, I said to myself the other day, it's like, how did I not see how ill you were? Like that, when you were proper like anorexic.
Yeah.
And I can see, and I look in your little legs and your little waist and I'm like, oh my God.
At the time I was self-harming and I couldn't cover my scars. I was so out of it that I forgot to cover them.
Yeah. Every bit of media we had to do, I had to, you know, warn them about your scars and constantly trying to make sure that in an edit everything was taken out for you, and it was definitely dark at that period.
I honestly at that point didn't have the energy to live.
I remember you were living with me at the time, because when things had gone so south, it was like you've got one option, which is to move in with me and my wife. I said to Kat, like, I'm not qualified for this. There's something mental health happening here, but I don't know enough about mental health. But I remember you saying, I need you to make me busy. I remember you were always like, when I'm busy...
I don't have time to self-destruct.
Exactly, and I got that.
And it didn't get better.
It didn't get better. Even like coming home and like, I used to have to send Kat into your bedroom to sort of see if you're all right, because
Yeah.
sometimes you'd like pass out naked and stuff
Yeah.
on the bed.
It's just really scary and really dark.
We'd find bits of sick around the house.
Yeah.
The bin down the street was where you'd put your
Where I put
bottles.
the booze, yeah.
So we'd kind of know if you'd been on a bender, then we could make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
That night. It's fucking dark, man.
It's so dark.
To try and create something for an artist who's kind of beamed out is stressful. Throw in Janet living my fault, bringing the artist into my family home. That then involves my wife. I'm a fucking maniac when it comes to my job, and it's fine. But it is hard when you dump that pressure on someone else. It did affect our relationship, but got more respect for her.
For her, yeah.
So.
I don't know how they survived that. I really, really don't. And I don't know how I put them through it. Like, but I kind of do because I just know that I didn't want to live. It's as simple as that. It just felt like I wasn't built for this earth in some way. The almost dying got so exhausting. Like, it was tiring to try and take my life on numerous occasions and wake up. That feeling of failure just exhausts you to your bones and to your core, because you just feel so hopeless, so worthless, that what's the point? What is the point in getting better? And it's just the truth that alcoholism will take lives. And it doesn't matter like how high up that pecking order you are, it will take your life away from you if you let it.
I didn't realise it at the time, but I can see now that my mental health played a massive role in my addiction to alcohol. But what's the relationship between the two? Where does one stop and the other begin? To find out more, I'm going to meet Dr. Donna Mullen from the Royal College of Psychiatrists.
So when did you specifically go into psychiatry for addiction?
Oh, about 2006. Alcohol-specific death rates in women in Northern Ireland are now higher than they are in other parts of the UK, and they've increased by 2/3 over the last 20 years. So they've increased by almost 66% in the last 20 years. So we really do have a problem in relation to women and alcohol here, and that is something that we need to address. There are higher rates of mental health issues, personality disorders and trauma and the female patients coming through.
For me, I personally have borderline personality disorder and bipolar type 2. And yeah, both
You've
of those.
got a collection.
Got a collection going, yeah.
Okay.
So that meant that, you know, when I was younger and when I was in active addiction, like I couldn't differentiate between me and my mental illnesses because I didn't really know how to process them. So in a way of like coping, like I used alcohol to cope. We talk about like almost like the intrinsic link between mental health and addiction and just how hand in hand those things go.
Well, I don't really see the split, I suppose. That's the thing for me. As a psychiatrist working in addictions, you know, I consider it to be a mental health issue. And I think that the split is a bit artificial in some way, because addiction is a mental health issue. And the two do come hand in hand a lot of the time. You really do need to try to shatter the stigma in a way, you know, because anybody could become dependent on alcohol. You know, all it takes is drinking enough alcohol regularly enough to become physically dependent on it. But you can also be emotionally dependent on it too if you have you know, if you have mood swings like you do with personality disorder, then you know it's very easily done.
It took me a long time to seek help and to realise how closely my addiction was linked to my mental health. But seeing and treating them as part of the same thing is a massive realisation for me.
Addiction can take every ounce of good that you have in your life, and it will take every ounce of good from your life. I spent every ounce of my being portraying this idea that everything was fine, when behind the scenes I was broken.
I'm really starting to understand the different ways an addict can damage the lives of those around them, those who love them. And for Christine in Newton Ards, alcohol was to have a devastating effect on her family in a way that she could never have foreseen.
It's a balloon my friends bought. At my sister's funeral, I thought it would be a good idea for everyone to wear purple or lilac, just to kind of keep it bright. Instead of, you know, black and dark, we wanted it to kind of resemble her. So everyone kind of associates Abby with purple and lilac now. She was really looking forward to her 21st birthday. I just thought it was a big birthday, and instead of kind of being sad, we would kind of just have a celebration of her life. Our mum took her own life 8 years ago. Just with something we've never got over. Towards the end, Mum's mental health was really, really deteriorating. And she would have drunk a lot in the end. Mum's decision was based on alcohol. It wasn't a sober decision, and she was drunk. Abby was only 11 at the time, a time where she really needed her mum. I think when something like that happens to you, you're never really the same person. Abby didn't have a problem with drink at all. She had bad times, the same as everyone. Some days she missed my mum. Most days she would have missed my mum. She went to a party, and what happened to our mum happened to another guy's mum at the party. And this was the topic of conversation. My sister told the guys in the party a lie that my dad was waiting on her. And she left the party and walked down the street a wee bit and took her own life. She just literally got too much drink and made a stupid decision that wouldn't have happened if she was sober. Abby was 20. Today's Abby's 21st birthday.
Hi, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm not too bad, How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, yeah.
How long have you not had alcohol for now?
So I got 3 years sober, and then I relapsed, and then now I've been sober for almost 3 years again.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
1 or 2 glasses for me is fine, but
Getting drunk is kind of no-go. I just don't feel safe even getting drunk.
And would you say what happened has stopped you from drinking?
Definitely, yeah, I would be scared to be drunk, yeah. Because of how I feel inside at the minute, I would definitely be scared of the type of behaviour I would be if I was drunk. So yeah, definitely, it's just best to have a few glasses.
For me, like, the alcohol made everything a million times worse. I already had a mood disorder, but I was pumping myself full of alcohol.
So you just didn't want to be here, did you?
No. I, on multiple occasions, drank so much that I tried to take my own life multiple times. And there's only been one time in my life where I've tried to take my own life sober. And all the rest was through alcohol.
Alcohol. Have you spoke to any family before that's lost? Like,
Never sat down with someone who's actually lost someone. And I think as well, it's like the fear of me having to know that that's what I could have done to my family.
it's crazy. And like, you do know how much heartache that would cause, like, if you didn't wake up, or...
I think at the time when I was trying to take my own life, I wasn't thinking about
anyone else.
Obviously, yeah. Anyone else, it didn't matter. The only way I could ever describe it to people was like, my body felt like a burning building, and that existing was causing me so much pain that the only relief
I get that.
was to just jump out.
I get that.
And that was the closest, that was the thing that pushed me over the edge to, try and take my own life.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously now when I'm older, like, I just would have been passing that exact feeling of living in a burning building on to, like, everyone in my life. What you'd be leaving them in. Like, you don't think about it at all. And I'm just really sad. I'm just really sorry that you've had to go through that.
The tragedy of Christine's story is hard to take in, and I'm so glad she is getting the support to cope with her grief. It makes me so thankful that I sought help and got into rehab and recovery before I totally ruined my own life or the lives of my family.
There is definitely cultural implications as to why alcoholism can thrive here in Northern Ireland. Our nightlife is built around drinking. And you just have to ask yourself, if you're planning a night out with your friends and you plan it without booze, where are you going? There's not that many options.
Even after 6 years, it's still weird to go out and not drink. You're almost like apologising for not drinking. You know what I mean? It's still very strange.
So I think what's becoming more clear, listening to other women talk about their experiences of being a mum or losing their mum, it's almost like society has accepted that men can fall victim to alcoholism, but we refuse to see it in women. We refuse to acknowledge the impact that has on their lives and just the things we expect women to do. We expect women to be good mums. We expect them to be all empathetic, all loving. I feel like there's like a whole other level of pressure, a whole other level of stress. Even just like getting pregnant, having a baby, trying to be an alcoholic addict and be a mother, like I can't even imagine. Because like I already just see the stress I put on my mum. I can't even imagine trying to be a mum and be an addict at the same time. Like it's just unreal. So I've come to Mahara to meet Imelda, who is brand new at the start of her recovery journey. And taking my own mind back to whenever I started, like, it is incredibly daunting. So I know exactly what she's going through. Hiya.
You're very welcome.
Oh, thank you so much.
I started drinking when I was 16. Started going out quite early. Then it became like a binge drinking thing, so every weekend, you know. But it was always social drinking. Then me and Jen got home together and started having like a cider at night before bed. And then I started drinking wine. And then I fell pregnant about 3 months after I moved into my house. My drinking got heavier after that. Fast forward a bit, I had 2 more children and they were emergency sections. My last child was actually born the day before my mum passed away. So it was really, really difficult. It was just like a year ago. So, and it was the very first COVID, so she didn't get to meet her or anything. It was really, really, really difficult. Since then, my drinking just escalated, got dark, drinking on my own to pass out. My children sort of suffered from it, you know, because they seen it. I felt like it got to the stage where I was winging it as a mommy. It was costing me more than money, basically. So, decided to go to AA. Gemma Rose, come here. You're tired today, aren't you? I actually drank that night, the night that I came home. The night that I got the news that Mommy had passed away. There wasn't much thought behind it. It was just what I was used to doing and to suppress how I was feeling. It was just, I didn't know what else to do. She was like the other half of me.
How many days sober are you?
If I'm being completely honest, 2.5 weeks, but it nearly was the 3. This week I had a slip up because it was on Tuesday because just something happened at work, and then I went to AA on Wednesday and it got me back, you know, again. And I'm really just taking it each day as it comes now. I haven't actually decided yet whether I'm calling myself an alcoholic or not. I don't know. I want to take control now. It controlled me for a long time.
Yeah. That's an important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And I feel as if my mum is giving me strength. I feel like she's with me all the time. So I miss her so much, and I know she would want me to stop drinking.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, and she's giving me signs that I'm on the right path. So that's where I'm going, and I have her legacy to carry on, so that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I'm still early days. I'm also doing counselling now on a Sunday morning. It's going really, really well. And I'm feeling strong at the minute. Don't beat myself up anymore about, you know, as much about things, because you have to be kind to yourself. I'm trying to do that.
A lot of people left flowers.
All the women I've met have gone to hell and back, and not one of them travelled the same way. Zoe, Shan, Christine, Imelda, Tamsin. They've all either lost someone or nearly lost themselves through the destructive effects of the most socially acceptable drug in the world. But the one thing I have taken away from all of them is that we can survive. We can rebuild our lives. But to do so, we need at least 2 things: hope and help.
love how it looks. I think it's just beautiful. It's stunning. I'm glad I got butterflies on it. I got our favourite wee coat, one day at a time. I'm just glad about it, like all of it. I do love getting up here like, and seeing her, because it's where I'm close to her. It's the closest place I am to her, is a resting place. Someone they know we'll always remember. We're always going to remember her anyway. Like, she'll be a hard person to forget. It's sad that it's all done, but I'm happy it's done, but I can't do it again for her. This is something I have to stare at all my life now, and I'm glad it looks the way it does. I really am.
If I'm being honest, I didn't ever think I would reach the age I am today. To think of a future is hard, I'm not gonna lie. I would like to be happy, at least. Happy, comfortable, bit wealthy. But I would just like to be able to look back and tell the grandkids a story that has a positive ending, you know? Yeah.
I've been in recovery now for almost 6 years, and it was the hardest but most liberating part of my life. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I was incredibly lucky that I had a great support system. I don't think I would have been able to do it without them. And I never would have thought I would proudly call myself an alcoholic one day. But I am. Society portrays the alcoholic very differently than how I see the alcoholic. I see the alcoholic as a person with feelings, with a past, but with a present and a future. I just want people to see the alcoholic as a person with potential.